Here we go. Claps. Mississippi State just announced some pretty cool stuff at Davis-Wade Stadium. It looks like this. It's going in the upper deck of the west side. Some seats are coming out, general seats on the edges of the upper deck on the west side of Davis-Wade Stadium, and they're putting in what is called the Balconies in Davis-Wade Stadium. It's premium seating. I think the term they used was boxes, like it's a box that you can reserve. It's pretty cool. It's not normal seating in a football stadium. Here's what it looks like. These individual boxes are going to be sort of customizable for whoever has them. It's sort of like going to a baseball game at Duty Noble Field in that you have a space and you can do what you want with it. The only difference is, you know, you're going to be up in the upper deck of a football stadium. You can't have a grill up there and cook, but you're going to be able to bring in your own chairs and your own TV, refrigerator, and it's just kind of your family space, or you're sharing it with whoever. And also there's shade, okay? So there are these awnings that stretch out to kind of give you some shaded areas. Anyway, this is something new that they came up with that I think is the thing of the future for more and more stadiums. I haven't seen anybody in D1 FBS do anything like what State's doing here to hold one of those boxes in Davis-Wade Stadium, the Balconies. It's a $2,700 Bulldog Club donation, and that's what's required for, you know, a pass to that box for the full season. Along with the donation, you also purchase at least 8 season tickets at the cost of those season tickets for those seats, which is $225. So if you do the math, that comes out to $4,500. So for less than $5,000, you get your box for the entire season. I think it's a great idea. And if I weren't working the games, it's exactly the kind of thing I'd be looking to get access to. Now, I was at State the other day. I also kind of walked. I could see the construction going on. You see the guys up there. They're getting ready to bring the cranes in. And while I was there, I also caught up with Senior Associate Athletics Director for the Bulldog Club, Mike Richey, who explained some of the thought that went into this, why do it, how they're doing it, and then some more details on, if you want to reserve one of the balconies at Davis-Wade Stadium, how you can do that. Here's that conversation with Mike Richey. What's the basic idea, like where this came from and why it's changing a little bit in the upper deck? How would you answer that?
Well, I think a couple of things we're seeing around the industry, not just here in Mississippi State, but around the industry, that the way that fans consume these games is changing. And we hear from a lot of folks that what they value is an opportunity to be able to move around, to have mobility in the stadium, to not be tied down to a fixed seat. To be able to have their own kind of space. And so when we looked at this initial concept from our design team, LPK out of Meridian and Populous out of Kansas City, and we kind of saw that this hit the mark in all those areas. And then also it's an area of the stadium where we've got some inventory available. We're not really sold out up there, so we can have flexibility to do different things. And so it kind of seemed to fill all the needs for us all at the same time.
Yeah. And so when you mention needs, fans, it's almost like our needs, and I say our, I'm looking at it from a fan perspective, are starting to change a little bit, you know, because games are so easy to view on television. We're looking for ways to stand up and move around as opposed to always sitting. So it's like, not only are you trying to meet ticket demands, but what the fans really want in terms of watching a game, that's changing every day too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's changing a lot. And I heard a great analogy last week from actually a chef of all people, and the context was different, but I think it applies here. You know, we all love potato salad. And if I make my potato salad with Miracle Whip and you make yours with Hellman's, we're going to have 2 totally different potato salads, and they may both be great. And you may say yours is terrible, and I may say I don't really like yours. But that's kind of the way the entertainment industry is. You know, everybody wants to do it in just a little bit of a different way. And we have people who have had seats on the 50-yard line for 40 years and would never move. But we have other people who are in other areas, in the scoreboard club where they have the terrace, or in the South Loge where they have their own space, who say, I would never leave here. I would never go back to one of those fixed seats. So everybody has their own way, and we've got to continue working with that mix to try to figure out how to hit all those marks and get as many people in the stadium as we can.
Mike Richey, on your radio, I love the idea. I really do. I genuinely do, because I can see it. It'd be something, if I wasn't working the games, I'd absolutely want to have access to. Get a view from up high as opposed to field level, that kind of thing. So specifically this, it's called the
Balconies.
The Balconies. And if someone walks up and says, hey, Mike, what are those? I hadn't seen renderings. Just explain it to me. How do you answer that, what they are?
You know, I think it's sort of a combination between a club space, a loge box, and a suite. If you can kind of imagine that. So each one it's there, and they get a little bit bigger as you go up the stadium, just because of the way the geometry works out. But if you can imagine having sort of an outdoor skybox, then you have no fixed seats, but you have the ability to service it on Fridays before, like we do in our clubs and suites. So you have an opportunity to bring in some of your personal items the night before. There are two storage boxes that we'll provide in there as well, but it's essentially you can move those boxes around if you want to, and you can bring in your own chairs if you want to bring chairs, or a fan if you want to bring in a fan. You can bring in a refrigerator. There'll be electric up there, so if you want to bring in a refrigerator and have your own space to cool drinks and snacks and things, you can do that. So it's customizable, but I think it's an experience that'll be unique to each person who has one. But that's the way I kind of envision it, as a combination of those three things all wrapped into one.
Sure. And a little shade for an early game is never a bad thing, is it?
Never a bad thing. And when we saw the concept, that was the first thing we said was, can you really get shade up there? Because we got to have shade for those early games. That's important. And when we get past 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's all natural shade anyway. But as you know, if we're playing between 11 and 2, it's going to be hot, sure, and that people want that shade.
Sure. Talking with Mike Richey. And so the cost for a Bulldog Club donation, but also ticket costs, kind of walk me through what that is.
Yeah, so the Bulldog Club donation is $2,700 per box, and then you have to purchase a minimum of 8 season tickets. That area is an area where we discount our season tickets already anyway, so the discounted price up there is $225, and so when you put it all together, it's just under $5,000 for the box and the season tickets to go with it. They'll all have a little different capacities based on the square footage. So if you need more than 8 season tickets, you can buy more. If you want to buy your 8 season tickets, and then for a couple of games you need 3 or 4 or 5 extras, then you can buy those extra tickets per game. So a lot of flexibility built in there for each game and for each group and how they want to manage it.
And lastly, in terms of what people who have those spaces will be allowed to bring in to sort of personalize it, whether it's, you know, a small refrigerator or a seat or a chair they like or a television, they will communicate that with you and with the folks here at State and get it approved. Mm-hmm. No grills, no fires, but basic stuff to watch the game. No cooking devices or appliances, things like that. But we will, and we do have a list of prohibited items that we'll put on our website, and anything that you want to bring, we just ask that you kind of let us know and let us take a look at it just to make sure it's appropriate for that area. But yeah, I mean, I think our thought is it's kind of your space. Now we don't want people to, you know, hang signs and drill holes and all that kind of thing. But anything, you know, like you mentioned, seating, a refrigerator, you know, a residential type fan, something like that. I think all those things will be great and will enhance the experience for everybody. Very, very cool. Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.